Hand it over. My face flushed with anger as my mother-in-law lunged at me. She was as terrifying as a ghoul. Huh, didn't you say it's shameful to act like a gluttonous servant? I wasn't provoking her. I was being clear. Some people don't get it unless you spell it out. Shut up! As she said that, the ghoul began to scream again. So, the exorcism begins. My name is Ava, a 32-year-old office worker. My husband, Jack, is 6 years older than me. We work at the same company, and I was assigned to his department when I joined. Who made this document? The numbers are wrong here. Honestly, I found my husband difficult. He was competent at his job, but known as the demon manager behind his back. I never saw him smile. In my nervousness, it's me. Sorry, I stuttered, and my voice shook. It was the worst. But don't rush. I know you're capable. Be calm. Take your time, he replied with a smile. His smile and the wrinkles at the corner of his eyes when he laughed were so endearing that I embarrassingly fell for him instantly. For years, I didn't dare confess, and instead focused on earning recognition at work. Years later, I was promoted to his direct subordinate, and we started talking more. That's when he confessed. When he proposed years later, I pinched my cheek until it was red, thinking it was a dream. Ouch! Seeing this, my husband smiled again. That smile I love so much. I was so happy. Just to let you know, my family is crazy. If you're uncomfortable, we'll leave immediately. He stubbornly refused the idea of greeting the in-laws. I insisted, and we went for a visit. He warned me earlier, but I didn't understand until I arrived at the in-laws' house. Welcome. You didn't have to bother with formalities. We're busy too. These were the first words from my mother-in-law, Isabella. Her rude words made me feel uncomfortable. Glancing at my husband, I saw him glaring at Isabella. Yes, hand that over. She noticed the gift I was holding and demanded it. Feeling dizzy at her audacity, I watched as she crudely unwrapped the neatly packaged present. Ah, this is just about passable, and she scoffed. What is with this woman? We're getting married, so no more monthly allowances, my husband declared. Isabella retorted, Why not? Do you know how hard it was to raise you both? According to my husband, he has no father. Isabella is apparently an unmarried mom. He has a half-sister from a different dad, but Isabella never married her father and had her out of wedlock. Sophia, his sister, looks and acts just like Isabella, and my husband, who despises Isabella, apparently hates Sophia too. What's the big deal, Mom? I'm here. It's all good. From the back of the room, a woman around my age, clad in designer clothes, emerged. Given her striking resemblance to Isabella, this must be Sophia. Wow, head to toe in designer brands. It's almost tacky at this point. I couldn't help but think rudely. Are you my brother's wife? I'm the sister, Sophia asked me. Oh yes, I'm Ava. Nice to meet you. As I bowed my head, Sophia laughed for some reason. Ew, what's with that outfit? It screams no brand, doesn't it? Mocking me further, she added, Your accessories are so old-fashioned too. You must take good care of your things. What's with this person? Even my husband got angry. Hey, cut it out. Don't be ridiculous. He glared at Sophia with a fearsome look. Maybe scared, she retorted. It's just a joke. Oh, Ava, you should own at least one designer item by your age, or it's embarrassing. Then she went back to her room, lining up her bags, clothes, and accessories, all conspicuously branded in front of me. Choose any, I'll give you one. Seriously, this is Sophia spoke as if she was bestowing charity. It was clearly malicious. Thinking refusing might be rude, I said, Then I'll take this pouch. But as soon as I touched it, Ew, that's disgusting. You're like a beggar, you know. Poor people are so shameful. Isabella, standing behind, laughed and spoke to me. In that moment, my husband forcefully pulled me away, and we left the in-laws' house, leaving the pouch behind. Tell me honestly, what did you think? Holding the steering wheel, he asked me while I sat in the passenger seat looking straight ahead. To be honest, I was quite furious. Sorry, but I never want to see them again. I was worried he'd be offended, but he laughed and said, I thought so. They are crazy after all. I'm really sorry for putting you through that. I felt sorry for making him apologize when none of it was his fault. Before leaving, I learned more about his family. He was less favored than Sophia growing up. Isabella told him he didn't need to attend high school, so he completed his education through a correspondence course while working part-time. He managed to attend university on scholarships. In contrast, Sophia attended a local infamous private high school, easily admitted just by writing her name, all paid for by Isabella. Hearing all this was already infuriating, but then I had no idea private school was so expensive. Apparently, since then, Isabella started frequently asking my husband for money. By the way, Sophia managed to flunk out even from that high school. The worst. Wouldn't it have been better just to ignore them? I asked, and he replied, If I do, they come storming into the office. Our security guards are mostly old guys. They get overpowered by their force. I feel bad making them handle it. My husband had it harder than I imagined, but apparently, her side business is going well lately, and it seems I'm finally getting a break. The her he referred to was Sophia. I'm not very familiar with it, but she's apparently making decent money using a flea market app, mainly selling brand name items all sourced by herself. I have a talent for spotting the good stuff, getting quality items cheap, as a pro's job, she boasted. Talent, huh? Meeting my parents went without a hitch. This girl, even before she dated you, all she talked about was you, and after, all she does is gush about you. Watching Mom talk animatedly and Dad laughing made me blush, but I was relieved to see my husband well received by my parents. Mentioning the in-laws, my parents were incredulous at the stories, almost doubting they were real. Neither my husband nor I wanted anything to do with the in-laws, so perhaps rudely, we didn't invite them to our wedding. It was going to be a small family affair anyway. The absence of the groom's family raised questions, but explaining the situation, everyone warmly welcomed my husband into the family. For the next 6 months, we enjoyed a blissful and trouble-free married life. Little did we know we would have to encounter those ghouls again. They've come! The ghouls have come! Our longtime security officer, Williams, came in with a change of expression to inform my husband that they, he referred to, were likely Isabel and Sophia. My husband went to handle it, but he returned looking utterly exhausted. Sorry, it's impossible to talk to them. We've arranged to discuss things tonight. Go ahead and sleep first. But I said, I'm coming too. It's better to have more people for a ghoul hunt, right? I accidentally let it slip, calling them ghouls. But until the end, my husband was worried for me. That night, we met at a diner near the workplace. Isabella and Sophia had already arrived and finished their meal. Their lack of consideration made my head spin when we arrived. All right, let's get down to business, Isabella started off brashly. I mean, we just got here, you know. We need the monthly support starting this month, she said matter-of-factly, with no sense of shame or remorse. Sophia, sitting beside her, sipped her coffee as if entitlement was second nature to them. My husband simply said one word. No. Isabella was dumbfounded, clearly not expecting a refusal. My family is AA. You two are nothing to me anymore. And after all that big talk, what happened to your side hustle, huh? Sophia, as if annoyed, replied, The world isn't always kind. You wouldn't understand, amateur. The returns have been decreasing lately, and it's frustrating. I chimed in. Then why not focus on your main job? Sophia snapped back. Shut up. I quit that job. I thought I could make it with a side business. I didn't expect this mess. Isabella, irritated by my comment, said, Don't remind us of unpleasant things. And why are you even here? Unfazed by their rudeness, I responded, Jack is my family. It's natural to want to help family in trouble. I don't care what you think of me. Exactly, we're family. That's why we're asking for help. It's the same thing, Isabella retorted. But to them, my husband was nothing more than a financial tool. That's not what family is. When will you two stop leeching off my husband? Can't you see how much you're hurting him? Even as a mom, I intentionally used the word leeching to provoke some shame, but Isabella shot back. What would you know about children, you childless woman? Children are lifelong slaves to their parents. Their spouses, too. Such nonsensical words came back to me, making me feel sick. Anyway, stay out of our lives. If you come to the office again, there won't be a next time. Got it? My husband warned them. Your office guards are so frightened of us, it's hilarious. Maybe we should visit your new apartment next, right? The rent must be decent. You must have money to spare, Sophia added, still wearing cheap clothes not fitting for a nice apartment. You should move and use the extra rent money to help us, your family, she said. It was repulsive. They somehow knew our new address without us telling them. Leaving the diner, our first thought was, let's move. We both said it simultaneously, laughing at the sink. With him by my side, nothing felt daunting. Holding hands, we walked home and headed straight to a real estate agent. Unknown to the two, a new highly capable security officer is starting next week, a former university rugby player. He's more capable of handling the likes of them. I wanted to move immediately, but finding the right place proved difficult. So I decided to consult someone. Observing Sophia's behavior, I knew it was only a matter of time before they started wreaking havoc. It's a matter of 1 month, no, maybe just 2 weeks. A few days later, when I got home, what the hell is this? I turned to find Isabella and Sophia standing there, furious. They must have followed me from work. Utterly despicable. What do you want? I asked, clearly annoyed. What do you want me? How dare a mere servant like you live in such a nice apartment? As irrelevant as their opinions were to me, their shock was somewhat understandable. I lived in what's known as a luxury tower mansion, inhabited by executives, doctors, and rumored celebrities on other floors. Usually decked in designer wear, today they looked particularly shabby and out of place in the sleek, clean entrance. Where I live is none of your business. Please leave. You're bothering me, I said, but they didn't budge and even sat down, claiming they wouldn't leave until they were given money. This was a matter for the police, but just then, my husband arrived. What are you doing? Get out! He was furious at the sight of them, but I managed to calm him down. Reluctantly, given the gathering onlookers, we let them into our apartment. Our clean, modern space must have seemed dazzling compared to the dilapidated in-laws' house. They were suddenly all smiles, especially Sophia. I want to live here, she blurted out, to which I sarcastically offered, Why don't you? I'll check if there are any vacancies for you. I deliberately said those things to make a point. Sophia glared at me. Living in such a nice place means you guys must be making a lot, right? Stop being so stingy, okay? What's with the okay and... Outrageously, this room's too big for just the two of you. How about we live here too? And of course, Ava, you'll handle all the household chores. They plan to move in, treating me like some kind of servant. No, I can't. We've promised only to house family members, I said, a promise I made with my grandfather. Seeing Isabella's confusion, I kindly explained, This apartment belongs to my grandfather, and we were staying here temporarily. Of course, our salaries wouldn't afford such a place. We finally found a place we like and plan to move next week, somewhere more suitable for us. Of course, we moved to a place within our means. Who are you exactly? Isabella muttered. I'm just an ordinary employee, but the impressive part is the company my grandfather founded, I mentioned. The name of the company where my dad is the CEO. My uncles have also established their businesses, all well known locally. Hearing this, they were visibly shocked. My grandfather was a strict man. Earn your own money, that was always my grandfather's saying. True to his words, my dad and uncles established their businesses, never relying on the family's wealth, but they always helped each other out in times of need. I'm proud of my family, who always prioritizes each other and their employees. I kept my family's wealth a secret until we were married, worried that it might change my husband's attitude towards me, but there was no need for worry. I need to work harder, my husband responded with a smile. Consulting with my grandfather about the current situation, he readily lent us the apartment, saying, I'll lend you the room, but settle the matter yourselves. I received such grandfather-like advice. Hearing this, Isabella somehow misunderstood. Finally, I'll be part of the elite too, she said. Then approaching me, You're such a deceiver, Ava, hiding the fact you're rich and always dressing so poorly. I was completely fooled. Isabella talked on, cheerfully oblivious to the gravity of her situation. Whatever your misunderstanding, let me clarify. We have no intention of supporting you financially. How many times do we have to discuss this? Please, enough is enough, I replied coldly and matter-of-factly. By the way, the dress I wore to the in-laws' house greeting was a bespoke piece from a tailor we frequented since my grandfather's time. Not exactly cheap and paid for with my own money, and I love non-branded clothes as well. To this, Sophia interjected, "Let's forget what's done. We're family, right?" "Oh, here, you forgot the pouch I gave you last time," handing me the pouch from before. I dismissed, "I don't need it, especially not a fake." When I pointed out the fake, Sophia had an indescribable expression. Even I, with little interest in brands, could tell the item she showed was a counterfeit. "Selling such obvious fakes, I imagine you're already in quite a bit of trouble, aren't you?" I said. And the once boastful Sophia quieted down, and perhaps realizing the gravity of her situation. Isabella, enraged by my cheeky attitude, lunged at me with a ghastly face. "Just shut up and give us the money." Her grotesque expression startled me for a moment, but I retorted, "Huh? Didn't you tell me that begging like a slave was shameful?" When I spoke up, it only fueled the fire more. "Shut up!" she shouted, lunging at me again. "Jack, did you get it?" At my shout, Isabella and Sophia looked bewildered. My husband, who had been discreetly recording the entire scene on his mobile phone, nodded silently and quickly intervened, pushing Isabella away from me. "What you've just done to Ava is more than enough to report to the police. And by the way, they're on their way here." Hearing police, both went pale, especially Sophia. It was my idea to record them. My husband was against it, considering it dangerous, but I insisted. Despite everything I said, they just didn't understand. We had to gather evidence and let the law handle it. We'd recently learned about restraining orders, a shameful admission, but necessary given the circumstances. We had planned to consult about the restraining order before they showed up. "Policing? That's cruel," Isabella had said, trying to elicit sympathy with her tears. My husband, however, was unmoved. "Family? Have you forgotten all you've done to me? Nothing but trouble." My husband had endured much more than he had shared with me. The sorrow in his eyes quickly turned to resentment. Money should be there when needed, not for personal greed or to gain superiority, especially not for people like Isabella and Sophia. Just then, we heard a police car outside, causing Sophia to scream and bolt out of the room, followed by Isabella. Of course, the police car was a bluff by my husband, and their panicked reaction was almost laughable. Days later, now settled in our new home, the police actually did show up to inform us of Sophia's arrest. My husband was visibly shaken. "She's practically a stranger to us. We have no connection." But he responded. We learned that Sophia had been buying counterfeit luxury goods from an overseas site and selling them as genuine on a flea market app. Sophia insisted, I didn't know they were fake, but using genuine photos for her listings made her lies all too transparent. Isabella, having helped with the packaging, was also under investigation. I only did it because my son's wife told me to. Such an absurd claim was made. It was nothing but a nuisance. Their inconsistent statements meant the police doubted much of what they said. It was all just a big nuisance. After the incident, Sophia remained in custody due to numerous other crimes, while Isabella was eventually released. However, the neighborhood was well aware of the incident, and Isabella was shunned, leading her to move to a distant town. She likely won't return to this town again, and if she does, we plan to treat her as a stranger. As for my husband and me, we've settled into a peaceful life now that the ghoul hunt is over. There's been a slight change since the incident, though. My husband is a boss at work. At home, I've taken the reins. He often says he's forever indebted to me. My husband may have his flaws, but I still love him as ever. Recently, he started reading management books secretly and often talks to my dad and uncles on his days off. I admire his constant desire to improve. If he ever starts talking about starting his own business, I plan to support him just like my mom and grandmother did in